Welcome to Fuck the Generational Wealth Gap podcast. I'm your host, Elise Alexander, your go-to fam when it comes to creating a wealthy life and getting rid of all the baggage that comes with codependency and perfectionism. It's not an easy trip, but you better bet your ass it's worth it and you are worthy of it. So today's going to be a really exciting episode because I really believe that the reason that most people do things wrong with wealth is because they don't know how to start. They don't know where exactly to start, and they just never start, which is something that I'm realizing it does not benefit us. It does not give us joy. It does not suit us in our wealth capacity, also in our wealth journey. So, why is it that people never start? I'm going to give you 6 reasons of what you can do to start your wealth journey, even if it's not what you believe it to be. Because what I'm learning for me is that wealth is life, business, alignment in spirituality, mental health, body, as well as everything that's going on in your life. Wealth is relationships, wealth is connection. It is not just money or riches. And I think that that's a new age definition that we are starting to define in 2022, which is, what does wealth really mean? And has it been what we've always wanted it to be? And is that why people don't start? Because they don't understand? Something I'm going to look into today and that we're going to talk about. So, how to how to turn from I will never be wealthy into wealth is me. I was someone for a long time who had said, I'll never make as much money as my father. I'll never make as much money as maybe this person. And I truly believed that for years and years and years, that I would never make as much money as someone else. But when I started fundamentally looking at it, that when you are wealthy or when you are poor, does it have everything to do with dollars, or does it also have a lot to do with who you are, who you have around you, what's going on around you? Because I'm realizing that you could be physically broke, but if you do not believe that you are broke, you are never going to be. So if you believe that you are wealthy, then wealth will become you. But it can't be someone else's definition of wealth. It has to be your own definition of wealth. And that's really what I'm here to do with you, is to close the wealth gap. It's to show you what it is that you could have the opportunity to see if someone else showed you a little bit different of a way. And I'm one of those people that wanted life and business to be just as exciting. It's not separate. So why do we keep trying to keep it separate? So, for someone who really is looking for these 6 tips, I really think that starting from the top and going down is going to be your most powerful. So, number 1, tip to help you start your wealth journey. Stop stop saying things to yourself like, I'm never going to be wealthy. That's never going to be for me. Stop saying things to yourself like, I'm not worthy of it. I don't consider myself important enough for that to be me. What on earth would I do with all that money? Stop saying things to yourself like other people deserve it, but you don't. Stop saying things to yourself like, oh, well, you know what? If I just had like a little bit more money, then I'd be okay. All of these sentences only give you lack, and they only continually redefine the lack in your brain instead of focusing on the abundance. Because we have a choice. You can choose the abundance or you can choose the lack. When you say things to yourself like, I'm never going to, that sentence in its own is already hurting you, because we have so much possibility in life. There's so much opportunity, but it's only if you believe that it's possible. As I'm sure that everyone told Oprah and Elon Musk and Tyler Perry and all of these other amazing, incredible people that they weren't going to make it. But guess what? It's not about everyone else's opinion, it's about yours. Number 2, stop saying things to other people like, I'm never going to make enough money. I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to be able to have life and business have equality. I'm never going to be able to take a vacation with my family and not have to look at my phone. I'm never going to be able to blah, blah, blah. All of these things lead up to you telling someone else why it is that you're not worthy enough, why it is that you're not good enough. So tip number one, stop saying things to yourself like that. Stop saying things to other people. Tip number two. Tip number three, hang on, we're going to go back to tip number two. When you say things like that to other people, then their energy starts to align with that negativity and also align with that lack. So then you're going to bring more people back to you in a continual line that have the same energy, that have the same bad vibe. And you're going to ask yourself, how on earth did I get back here again with the same people that I have been attracting for years? And that's not what I want. We are what we attract. We attract what we are. So you have to be able to fully surrender to who you are. Okay. Tip number three, make one simple action step to make sure that you start today. Because let's be real here. We got so many things going on in our lives. There's so much opportunity. There's so much business. There's so many family. You got so many things adding up to where you kind of just can't breathe and you're a little overwhelmed by the end of the day. So finding one simple action step that can continue to push you will be the thing that actually gets you there. Because here's what I know to be true. If you take a huge leap, more than often than not, you're going to end up backsliding a little bit. But if you take tiny steps every single day, you will get to where you want to go and you will stay there because they are measurable and they are small steps. So that means you don't backslide in such a huge way. And girl, I have backslided more than I care to tell you. But that's why we're here, because I've learned to the point of understanding where we go after you make a mistake. And I know what it's like to not have the opportunity to maybe take an action and actually do it, because I got lost in it. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna take an action. We're gonna do this today. You know, when you put something in your calendar and then by the end of the day, you're getting into bed and you're like, oh, I still haven't done that thing. Yeah, I know, because I've done it. So it's not enough to just put it in your calendar. It's not enough to just say, like, I'm going to do it. You have to physically take that action step right then, right there, right now. So I'm going to give you a beautiful entrance to your own opportunity of your own definition of wealth and closing your own gap. Because for me, it's not just about us, like I tell you all the time. It is about the generations that come after us for the next hundreds of years, hopefully, who continue to be regenerated by the brain and by us breaking of the chains of our old generations and of the people who came before us, and maybe of our old procrastination ways. So for me, one of the steps that I decide that I'm going to do every day is to make sure that I spend 15 minutes. This is 15 minutes, you guys. It's just one small step on studying what it is that I need to know more about, whether it's financial freedom, whether it's a definition of a word that I don't understand. It has something to do with wealth. So I'm going to tell you right now, make a decision to take an action step as soon as this is over of what it is that you're going to start with. Even if it's just deciding that you're going to take your first step today. Because if not, the world is so crazy out there that we're going to forget, and it's going to get on the list. And then the list that never ends, that just keeps adding and adding and adding more things, is going to be overflowing to the point where you're like, I'm out. And that's where we get stuck. And that's when we don't want to start again. So one simple action step that you can take, that you can put immediately into your calendar, that you can put on a daily repeat to remind yourself of what it is that you need to take steps in terms of defining your own wealth for yourself and figuring out what that means to you: life, business, alignment, authenticity, truly feeling what it's like to not have any gaps in yourself or in your life. So, tip number 4, make a decision that you are wealthy. Just point blank. Like, People act like it's a conversation that you have that you sink in with. No, it's a light bulb switch. You either choose that you are wealthy or you either choose that you are in lack. It is a light bulb switch that you choose to turn on. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, every once in a while, it flickers a little bit, but it never turns off, because when you believe that you are whole, when you believe that you are wealthy, when you believe that you are enough and that you are worthy, then no one can ever take that from you. That's yours. That's your piece. That's your commitment and your connection to your divine, as well as to the universe and what you want to create and bring into it. So when you make a decision, it doesn't go undone. You don't go like back past that. You make the decision to be wealthy so that your future gets to be wealthy, so that we continue down the track that we meant, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it makes a point that you don't really know what it is that you have to be doing, or maybe don't have to be doing. Because at the end of the day, we attract who we are, not who we want. And when that happens, that is such a hard moment to push for, because we don't really know if it's something about us or if it's something about someone else. So, number 6, have one person who holds you accountable. This is a huge key factor in what it is of creating wealth for yourself. Because once you do that, once you have an accountability partner, it's so necessary. It's so important, because they will start to tell you, hey, did you do this thing that I told you to do? Hey, did you really do what you said you were going to do? Did you really create your tracking and expenses report? Hey, is this even really important to you? Because what I've noticed is that when you don't have accountability weekly, when you don't have people in your life, you don't do it. And not only do you not do it, but you put it in the back behind everything else, as if it's not even really there. And you can't keep running away. You can't keep running away, because if not, it's still going to keep coming up. So I would say finding an accountability partner that has the same values, who really also wants to push in the same direction and is intentional about the time that you are together, will serve you in a way that abundance has served me beautifully. I have more than one accountability partner, by the way, in more than one thing. Because if I have an accountability partner, for me, if I have an accountability partner that handles one thing, if they handle more than one thing, I had a habit in the past of saying, you know what? Yeah, I did this thing, but I didn't really do that thing. So, like, we'll only focus on this thing this week. And I needed to have different accountability partners to be able to support me, since I was so wish washy. So now I have one accountability partner for each section of my life. And if it's a huge goal, then I have more than one accountability partner, because I know that left to my own devices, I'm not going to do jack shit. So, what if we started to say, who do I need to become to be wealthy? What if we started to say, what do I need to let go of in order to grow? What if we started to say, what piece of me cannot come where I am going next? What if we started to say, if there is there anything that I can say is happening to me? What if we also started to say, are there relationships in my life that feel familiar? What would I ask for help learning? What if all my needs were met? Ooh, that's a big one. What if all my needs were met? Ooh, I would ask that self. I would ask that self. I would ask myself that question over and over and over until I was like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, they're not met. So, the question that I would love to leave you guys with today is, what automatic thought keeps coming up that wealth is inaccessible to you? What is it? And I'll repeat that question one more time. What automatic thought keeps coming up for you that wealth is unavailable to you or inaccessible to you? When I first got started, I really believed that wealth was inaccessible for me, that I could never have a life and a business that were equal and that could also be built upon, and I could have a joyful life and not have to work so freaking hard and push a rock uphill forever. I'll tell you a very small story on how I started to push my wealth in a way. I was someone who used to say, I'm really bad at names. And I would say it over and over and over. I'd be like, I'm really bad at names. I'm not going to remember your name. Not going to remember your name. Well, one day I started saying, I'm really good at names. I'm really good at names. I'm really going to remember your name. And I found a way to start to remember that person's name while I looked up in the left hand corner of my head and started to project a picture of that person, and then would realize that I would start to remember their name, especially if I started to say it over and over and over in my head. So, what I want to leave you with today is that it is so possible to create the wealthy life that you are looking for. You just have to feel worthy and tell yourself that you are ready so that we can start. Because you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to want to start. There's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a perfect time. You just have to start. And what it is that stops us is everything else. So, just take a moment and say yes to yourself. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we will talk soon next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wealthy, worthy evening.